Hello, welcome to the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh's Teen Time at Home. My name is Max. I'm happy you could join us today. For today's activity, we'll be experimenting with multimedia collage to create some comics. You may have drawn some comics in the past, but today we'll learn how to create a story by collaging different medias together. This will make a lot more sense once you see how we put one together, so stick around to see what we can create. Before we get into the activity, I want to pose a question to you. I know this is quite the contentious debate, but who do you think is the most powerful character of these three? Goku from Dragon Ball Z, Saitama from One Punch Man, or Superman? I would have to choose Saitama. Let me know if you agree with me in the comments, or you can tell me who you think is the most powerful, and feel free to explain why. Now let's move on to the activity. You may have received supplies for today's activity in a grab-and-go activity kit available at COP locations. If not, that's okay, and we're happy to have you. We want to know what you would like to do next. Please let us know in the comments or send us an email to teens@carnegielibrary.org. For this activity, we'll be using all the materials included in the kit. Washable markers or colored pencils, ballpoint pen, pencil, ruler, a glue stick, a notebook, and washi tape. I'm also going to be cutting up some old comics and using Barstone to create my own collage. If you don't have any comics or manga you want to cut up, you can alternately use any old magazines, or you can draw your own imagery. The first thing we'll actually go over is creating the layout of the comic. I like making the layout first and picking the amount of panels, so we can choose our imagery after and create our story from there. Our first step will be to decide how many panels we want and how we want them laid out. One of my favorite formats is to put a large, wide panel at the top and at the bottom, and then 4 smaller panels in the middle. We'll use our ruler to measure our lines starting from the top. Our first panel will be 8.5 inches wide by 3 inches tall. Now I'll do the same for the bottom. This should leave 5 inches in height in the middle. We will make a horizontal line through the middle at 2.5 inches, then a vertical line down the middle at 4.25 inches. You can then trace over those lines with a pen or marker to make them more visible. Remember, your comic will read left to right, starting from the top and ending at the bottom. If you like it to read more like a manga, you'll keep the vertical order the same, but it should be read right to left. Next, find some old comics, manga, or magazines that you'd be willing to cut up. I'd suggest checking with your parent or guardian before you cut any of these up, in case they'd like you to keep any of these things in their original condition. As you start cutting out the images and/or panels, you should start thinking about what kind of story you'd like to tell. Try to collect images that you think would work together to express the narrative you will add. Once you have everything cut out, you can start placing them on your paper in the correct order. If you feel like everything is ready to be glued, you can go ahead and use the glue stick on the back of your cutouts and on the paper. Put down plenty of pressure on all areas of the image to make sure it sticks properly. Another way to create your story is to collect your images first, place them, and glue them, and then based off what you've made visually, you can decide the script and narrative from there. When you're ready to add text, I suggest writing out your script in your notebook first. Once you know how many speech bubbles you'll need and how big they should be, you can then draw these in your notebook, cut them out, and paste them. When adding the text to your speech bubbles, do it in pencil first to make sure you can edit any mistakes, and then you can trace over it with a pen or marker. Feel free to also draw in any additional imagery or designs with marker, colored pencil, or any other medium. Now that everything is glued down and our story is finished, you can go over the borders of your panels with washi tape. This tape will give a thick, consistent border to everything. If you have any stickers you'd like to add, now would be a good time to add them as well. When writing a story and a script for your comics, don't focus on making anything too serious or complicated. This is a single-page panel, and our goal should be to experiment and have fun. What we are going over today is a very introductory level of comic creation, script writing, and collage. There's definitely much more to be learned about all these subjects, and I hope this has sparked some interest. If you'd like to learn more about the history of comics and where they even came from, I'd suggest checking out the book, The Comics by Brian Walker. There are 2 versions of this book, The Comics since 1945, and The Comics, the Complete Collection. This version also includes the Since 1945 section. This is one of my favorite books since it allows you to see the huge transformation of comics from the 1800s until modern day. One of my other favorite books is The Complete Peanuts by Charles M. Schulz. This book chronicles the complete history of the Peanuts comics from 1950 until 2000. For a comic series that has spanned over 50 years, it's incredible to see how a simplistic and minimalist comic has stood the test of time and how effective Schulz was with the dialogue of his writing. If you'd like to learn more about how to create the visuals and text for comics, DC Comics has put out 2 very helpful books. The DC Comics Guide to Writing Comics by Dennis O'Neil, and The DC Comics Guide to Creating Comics, Inside the Art of Visual Storytelling by Carl Potts. PBS Learning Media also has a very insightful video on rapper and comic artist Keith Knight. This video from the early 2000s explores Keith's creative process and how he navigates his career. Seeing a younger version of Keith Knight gives you a really cool understanding on how this young creative became the creator of the new Hulu series Woke. You can find this video on pbslearningmedia.org or by searching Keith Knight, Visual Arts and Music, Comic Art, and Rap. Get in touch with us in the comments or email if you're looking for other ways to advance your knowledge and skills in comic art and writing. We have tons of comics, graphic novels, and manga that we can share with you. Thank you again for hanging out for Teen Time at Home. Feel free to share what you made today by tagging us online with @CLP Keep an eye out for grab-and-go activity kit supplies at your neighborhood CLP locations to participate with us. We miss you. We look forward to creating together next Wednesday. See you later.